Topo Athletic is committed to lifelong health and better movement. Topo builds running shoes for those who get out there every day regardless of weather, speed, energy, or mood. Their distinctive fit and feel combines instinctive human movement with modern performance and lightweight comfort to help you keep going, keep trying, and keep moving. Discover the Topo difference and step into a run experience unlike any other.
Can you hear?
Oh, I hear you.
Yes.
Oh my God. Wow. Wow. You're welcome, everyone, for that display of IT expertise.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Apologies for all that stood by and watched that. Sorry, Jason. Hello. Hi.
Now that we have the start of a show, we have to end the show.
Yeah,
it's been so long.
It's over now, but great talking. Great to chat. Good Lord.
How are you?
Well,
Now that
I'm great. I'm doing great. I'm enjoying summer here on Donner Summit.
Yeah, I've got questions about this whole Donner Summit interview show you're doing on your own out there in the middle of winter. And I mean, I was in tears laughing about it. But when you're out there dealing with that kind of snow and in the winter, at some point, I'm guessing, does it just get come on, really, more snow?
Yeah. Absolutely. You're looking at a forecast where maybe in the next week we're expecting 20 feet of snow, and that's not even oh yeah. So it gets tough, and so I think coming up with these little comedy, whatever they are, videos was a way to cope and just bring some comic relief to what can actually be kind of a dangerous, dire, difficult situation to live in, for sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, you raced the Canyons 50K.
Yeah.
I started the 100-miler. I did not finish. I pulled myself after 50K, and it was incredibly hot.
So hot.
And
so hot.
You're training in the snow and dealing with the cold, and then you're dropping into, what would be the desert what it must feel like. So how did you cope with that weather on race day, on race weekend?
Yeah, I ran a 50K last summer called the Big Chief 50K, and that was in July, and it was an extremely hot day. So that day I actually had some success, putting ice in my hat and practicing some cooling techniques. So I think when Canyons rolled around, I had been there before. So, I pulled from that, and, growing up playing competitive soccer down in San Diego, we dealt with a lot of heat. So I think, and yeah, so coming from the snow to that was definitely extreme, but I just kind of soaked it in, heat, sunshine, I'm just going to take it all in,
You did better than I was training in the Arizona desert leading up to that event. And honestly, I got to mile 50 and I just could not take in any more liquid. I was laying on the side of the trail and I was like, yep, party's over for me. Time to head home.
That's wise though, to not push yourself, and it was hot. And I saw people vomiting, and there was a helicopter rescue.
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So,
I was vomiting.
Oh yeah. It was not uncommon out there, and GI issues and you name it. But yeah, 50 miles that's respectable still. That's a ton of climbing and a long way to go. So
yeah,
practice.
I bailed before the second No Hands Bridge aid station, the second time you get there on the 100-mile.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was laying there, I was like, well, I've seen No Hands Bridge at Western States, and I crossed it the first time to get out here. I don't need to see it a third time.
Yeah, it's fine. It'll be there.
The view's not changing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So what do you have coming up next? What's next on the docket for you in terms of racing? Is there one?
Yeah, so I have Speed Goat 50K on July 22nd, Snowbird, Utah. So super psyched for that one. Yeah, for those not familiar, they say it's the hardest 50K in the country. 31 miles with almost 12,000 feet of climbing. So solid little course over there.
Yeah. Is that what pulled you in? The fact that it's, considered the hardest 50K?
Yeah. And I definitely am really intrigued by sky running and true mountain ultras. So for me, this is about leveling up a little bit. A lot of my races that I've done has been, medium climbing, I guess, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 feet, but I've never crossed over where it's really just a lot of up and a lot of down. But I'm psyched. I'm psyched to go there and try and just give it my best shot,
How's training been going for you?
Going well. I feel really great. I've been incorporating a lot of strength and hot Pilates. That's also heat training. And yeah, just being consistent with things, but I feel really good. Oh, my cuckoo clock's going off.
This is a show. Technology issues, cuckoo clocks.
Yeah, this is my life here on Donner Summit, guys. You're welcome.
Have you always been a trail runner, or did you start in a different sport and way into trail running?
No, I mean, definitely was a competitive soccer player. And then I became obsessed with snowboarding. And that's really what brought me to Tahoe, was snowboarding. And then I have a friend, I call her Sensei. Her name's Lauren Corda. She's an amazing acupuncturist and healer. And she always would tell me, you gotta go trail run. Like, you would love it. You would absolutely love it. And I was like, yeah, like whatever. And then I just, it was my grandmother's birthday, February 14th, 2018. And I was like scrolling Instagram and I was thinking about my grandma, and she got her first tattoo at the age of 97.
Hey.
Yeah, super cool, right? She got a bluebird on her shin. And I was thinking about my grandma that day, Grandma Irene, and I was like, man, that's cool that she did something she always wanted to do. And so anyways, it's February 14th. I'm thinking about Grandma Irene and I'm scrolling Instagram and I see an ad for the North Face Endurance Challenge 50K in the Marin Headlands. And so I just signed up. I'd never raced, never trained for a race. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I always thought it'd be cool to try. And yeah, that opened the can of worms. Then I had to start training. And then I immediately get injured from overtraining.
That in a second. So you literally just jumped right into the deep end. I'm not doing a half marathon. I'm not doing a marathon. I'm going straight to 50K. And we'll figure it out.
Yeah, but then because I had 9 months, I did do a couple of training races leading up to. So I did a 10K race with my dog. And that was, at the time, that was the longest I'd ever raced. It was the 6 miles. And I was like, I don't even know if I could do this. I seriously questioned. But then, you do it and you realize, yeah, we're all capable of a lot,
And so you've progressed to the 50K. Have you gone past that? Do you have plans to go past that if you haven't?
Yeah, I did the Anza Borrego 50 miler last December. So that was my first 50-mile race. And that went really well. I kept it pretty conservative because I didn't know what to expect. And I met some really great people out on the trail, and we pulled cactus out of one guy's arm. And
you gotta tell that story.
That was pretty wild. Craig Bronstein, he actually just finished Western States. Super psyched for him. But that was a great race, a beautiful sunset, and we rolled into the finish with a party wave of 8 people, and it was so fun. And I felt better at mile 42 than I did at mile 27.
Yeah. You know what? Isn't it amazing about ultras where you have these peaks and valleys, and you can feel great at mile 42 when you felt like shit in mile 27? I think
totally.
One of the greatest things about trail running is you never know what that next step might bring. And so that whole anticipation of what might happen is beyond exciting for me. I don't know. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, totally. I always remind myself, after a low, you're probably going to have a high. So just remind yourself, just get through this time, and it's okay to have those valleys, but you'll come out of it. And often, you feel better than ever.
Yeah. I often find that an Oreo is the greatest way and the fastest way to get back to feeling good when you're in that top of.
I like that.
Yeah. Put the sleeve in your vest.
Nice. Just tuck it in and pop them.
Yeah.
I'm a sour gummy or sour worm, trolley worms. That's my jam.
So that
yeah.
What else you got in your pack then? What else are you carrying?
I like Spring Energy.
Yep.
I don't do a ton of fat if I'm racing hard. I don't digest it well, so if it's more of a mellow effort, I'll include a little more fat in there. But otherwise, the awesome sauce.
Yes.
and Canterbury, like those two from spring. Tailwind,
Yep.
Element, that electrolyte. I've been like obsessed with that. My friend Scotty turned me onto it, and that stuff's great.
No chili yet?
What?
Have you tried the mango chili flavor from Element?
No, I haven't. Is it spicy? Like, what is the deal with that?
It has a little kick in the back of your neck. It's like eating a little spicy taco, and you're like, oh, there's a little spice back there, you know?
Like, all right, a little something nice. I'll have to try it.
Otherwise, it's pretty good.
Yeah. But and biscotti. I like a chocolate dip biscotti. Often on my like adventure runs, I have a biscotti with me. It's like it's a good amount of carbs. It's tasty, but not too sweet.
This trail running, like, so I'm an Ironman athlete as well, and Ironman athlete, you know, they tend to be very type A, and we're only eating, only drinking this, and everybody's pretty much following the same process. The thing I love about trail running is it's like the wild, wild west when it comes to nutrition, right? Just eat whatever for you, right? We have a question here from Jake who's asking if it's double stuffed Oreos for me, and the answer is absolutely not. Like, you know, I'm an OG Oreo guy. I don't need double stuff.
Yeah, traditional, nice.
You know, like, it's so awesome. What is the best aid station food you ever had, and at what race?
Oh, that's a good one. You know, the ABC, the Anza Borrego 50, I don't remember. It was like the third or fourth aid station. So we're like 50K in, and they were doing, I don't eat meat, but they had cheeseburgers for people, and people were all about it, and bacon and stuff like that. But it was a quesadilla, but it was so good. And then a shot of pickle juice. And just like that combo at that time was like the greatest thing I'd ever tasted. So
on the surface, that sounds so gross, but I can totally understand it. If you run for hours in the woods, you understand the warm quesadilla and pickle juice combination is utopia.
Yeah, really, it hit different at that moment. It was great. And then we trekked along and continued on our way. It was great.
I stalked your Instagram a little bit this afternoon.
Nice.
And I came across a post that you did a little while ago, I guess, about completing a vertical mile. Did I read that correctly?
Yeah. I've been doing a ton of those in my training leading up to Speedgoat 50K. Not like VK racing, but just hiking up a mountain to get the vertical kilometer.
Not just hiking up a mountain.
Just, you know, hauling my carcass up the mountain. That's what I say. That's what I feel like sometimes. Like, just haul your carcass up this thing.
When you're doing training up and you're hauling your carcass up, are you using your trekking poles, or are you going pole-less on the way up?
I am newly using the poles. I've never raced with poles, but I've been training with them for the past like 8 weeks to use for Speedgoat 50K. So I'm trying to get like the transitions down and not look like a total kook with them, but I think they can really be like efficient to use, for that distance.
It's a completely different world when you're using the poles versus not using the poles.
Okay.
Like at Western states, they don't allow you to use trekking poles, and so climb there is a bear. I mean, it was. But I did Cocodona and was able to, you're able to use trekking poles there, and it makes a huge difference. But you're right, you do have to practice with them, get them into the rhythm, and figure out what you're doing.
All right, well, that's good validation, knowing that I'm making the right choice.
Yeah. If you're allowed to use them, use them.
Yeah.
It's like a simple question that will come up in Ironman racing, and it's like, hey, do you use a wetsuit? Do you not use a wetsuit? And I'm like, if it's legal, I'm using a wetsuit, because I'm never going to be on the podium for Kona. So why would I take away the little advantage I'm going to have, right? If you have trekking poles, go for it. Like, nobody's going to be like, where's the asterisk on her ultra sign up that she used poles?
Yeah, right. She used poles. That does not count. Yeah.
So when you're doing the vertical miles, back to that for a moment, what's your favorite part when you're starting that process of climbing, a vertical mile, and what's your least favorite part of that?
I mean, it's probably the least favorite is probably like right at the beginning where you've got a ways to go, but you're like immediately you've gone anaerobic or you're like feeling it. You're like, okay, I'm puckered immediately. But when you get like you start cresting the top, or you can start to kind of run off the top and you're getting to the top of the mountain, like there's something really powerful in that moment. So that's my favorite. Like when you obviously get to the top and then you get to go downhill, which is really my favorite. It's just sending a technical downhill. I like live for that.
Training comes in. Downhill running, doing the squats in the gym makes a huge difference when it comes to downhill running for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question from the audience. So when you're at your lowest of lows out on the trail, how do you climb out of it? Thanks for the question, Jake.
No, that's a good question. I mean, you think of a tough time and you give yourself a pep talk. Sometimes, or I just allow the low and I just recognize it for what it is. Okay, here I am. Like I feel like shit. And you just give yourself a pep talk and just say, you know what, I can do this. And the only way out is through. I often say that to myself. Like, okay, well, you can choose to feel like crap or just like realize the only way out is through and pull yourself up and let's get going and turn it around.
Yeah.
So pep talk.
Like during races, I don't know if you do this, but I'd love your insight on it. Like you get to a point where you're somewhere between both aid stations. And it's like, if I just get past that median point, then I know I have to go to the next one because it's closer. And as you towards that next one, as we said earlier, you go through those peaks and valleys and all of a sudden the race changes because you're now moving forward and you're closer to the next aid station than you are to the one that's behind you. So that's part of my thought process when it comes to getting through some of these hard times in ultras.
For sure. I like that. Aid station to aid station. Sometimes just go, point A to point B, just get there and you just keep going. You're going to make it.
I was asked this one time, and I wonder how you answer this. So I'll ask you of it. So I was once asked, how do you run 100 miles? And my answer to them was, I don't run 100 miles. I run 1 mile 100 times because it's easier for me to process the 1 mile. So if somebody was to say to you, how do you run 50 miles? How do you run 100 miles? How would you answer that question?
Yeah, kind of the same. You're just 1 mile at a time, and you run the mile you're in. Some miles are great. They just click by. You're like, oh, man, I've gone 7 miles. I didn't even notice. Sometimes, a quarter mile is like the fight of your life. So run the mile you're in and just keep going, and you're going to get there.
So we have a lot of females are in our audience. Our audience is about 65% female. And so I know, we're proud of, we want more women at starting lines at triathlons and endurance sports events, period. But obviously part of that is, some of them are moms. So how do you balance all of that, being a mom with training and racing?
Yeah, it can be hard for sure. I mean, I work full time and I've got a stepdaughter and my son Cody and my husband and I kind of schedule that time to train. I make it a priority because you can't pour from an empty cup. So I got to do what I got to do. Mommy needs this run or mommy's gonna, but my family's super supportive. My kids are like really interested in what I'm doing. My 4-year-old will come and like work out with me. So I try to like involve them in the process and, make it inclusive, and it's not easy, man. I'll tell you, I mean, if I could just train like a professional athlete, that'd be cool, but that's not how it works. So, but you make it a priority and you just show up. When it's your time to show up, you show up. Because I have this 2-hour window to run. I'm going to show up and do it because then I'm going to regret it if I don't.
So are you a kind of person who is, I don't want to say calendar driven, but you've got everything spaced out on a calendar, like I'm working this time, I've got to run at this time, and just kind of let that be the direction that leads you?
Yeah, a little bit. Like it's all in my head. I actually don't have it like I don't use training plans or schedules really, but I kind of go week by week. Like, okay, Tuesday, I know I can get my long run in. Okay, Wednesday, I'm seeing a window. Maybe I'll, do a speed workout or whatever. So I kind of take it week by week because life happens and you have to be flexible with your training and adaptable. And so that works for me. It's just kind of week by week and then go from there.
So you don't have a coach. You put together your own training plans and figure it out on your own then?
Yeah. I don't have a coach. I do it all intuitively, how I'm feeling. Some days I feel like I want to go for it. And some days I feel like, I'm really tired and I'm just going to kind of come off it a little bit. And that's worked well for me. Some may say it's wise to, have a plan and a coach, but I just go with how I feel, man.
I love it. Fantastic, right? Because some people get so wed to their training plan that if they're feeling sluggish and it's like speed work day, they can risk injury, right? There's like this mindset, like Training Peaks has green, yellow, and red, that if you do the prescribed workout, it turns to green. If you don't do it, it turns red. And in some instances that's motivating, right? But in other instances it could be harmful because it's like, I need to turn it green, even though hours, it's not worth it and the stress is super high. So I think it's pretty cool that you're able to race 50Ks and 50 milers, on an intuitive training plan, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, just kind of roll with it, how I'm feeling. I mean, I'll have a general idea of like, okay, this week, I want to try to hit like 55 miles and, X amount of ish climbing. But then, I just have to adapt for real life, like most of us doing these things. Like, it's not perfect and it's not linear and there's ebbs and flows. We do your best.
I mean, that's the thing, right? So that's one of the things that we profess here is that we are not professional athletes, right? We don't get paid to do this stuff, and life will happen and you've got to focus on that. And so on a specific day, you don't get to run 2, 3, 4 hours. You do what you can, and that's part of the process. And you have to enjoy that to get to your path, which leads me to this next question. So you are an athlete for something. So what does that mean to you to be able to represent Salomon, and does that put pressure on you when it comes to performance at events?
Yeah, I'm super grateful to Salomon for their support, especially as someone who's like, I don't win races, but I run for the community team here in Tahoe, and I'm an ambassador. And I think while I may lack in general podiums and titles, I make up for my enthusiasm for the sport and my general stoke. And I like to get other people excited about trail running too and make it accessible. So Salomon's thrown me a ton of love, hooked me up with shoes and gear, and really helped me on my path. And it means a lot to me to have that support and help me improve as a runner and a person. And really, there's no pressure, I just go out and do my thing, and cool. Like, they've never, said, oh, you need to do this at this race. And it's more about just like sharing the stoke, and that's what I do.
You mentioned part of the community. Is that Team God Mode? Is that the community that you're referring to?
Yeah, Team God Mode. That's another crew community, small team of ultra runners. So myself, Frank Sunseri, and Aaron Tucker. We kind of started at Broken Arrow a few years back. It was like a joke about sending a downhill, like flip it into God mode, just like send this thing. And then it sort of persisted, and then we started this crew, and it's been cool. Like, it's just a community of people that support others that are trying. Like, you don't have to be the best, but you should give your best. So that's kind of the spiel there.
So is it loosely organized? Are you guys scheduling training runs and get-togethers and happy hours and that kind of stuff?
It's very, very loose. We all live in different parts of the country, so very loose, very willy-nilly, very heavy metal trail running. I guess you could say that. Run fast, take souls.
Oh, I like it. I might have to change my motto is breaks, but I like that as well. So are you listening to music? Are you listening to heavy metal when you're out there racing?
Sometimes, but I use like the aftershocks so I can still hear around me. I never used to run with music, but I've been doing it more, and I've been loving it. It's great. Do you run with music?
I don't run with anything at all. Like,
okay.
It's literally my time to get away. I want to hear I want to hear the leaves crunching under my feet and the birds chirping. And I'm, like I say, all gas, no brakes, right? So I'm that guy who's like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to be running zone 2 right now, but I'm in zone 5 and we'll figure it out later. And
God mode. That's God mode, baby.
So if I you could forget about it. Like, I was running to the music and I won't even pay attention else. So.
It's awesome. That's God mode, right? You just like go to that place where you're just like, rah, just send it.
I had, a conversation just the other day about this whole all gas, no brakes thing, because if you look at my training, everything is like zone 3, 4, and 5. And I'm like, but if I can run at that in those zones now for a training run, imagine in a race, I can hold on to it longer, right? That's my
right.
Now. And sometimes it works. It gets you to the finish line. And other times it gets you to mile 3 and you're like, we got to walk the rest of the way. We're just here.
Yeah, right.
I mean, again, we're not, like, to your point, we're not getting paid. We should just be having fun with all of this stuff and not worrying so much about somebody scouring our ultra sign up or, DNF'd at this race. Man, I've got DNFs and there'll be more in the future. So it is what it is.
Yeah, it's all our own personal journey, and like, who cares about ultra signups or Strava segments? Like, at the end of the day, none of that really matters. It's like the joy you feel when you're out there, and the camaraderie that you build. I love that too.
Yeah, like, I mean, when I'm running on the trails and I see people, like, I stop. I'm like, hey, how are you? How are you doing out here? Are you enjoying your time? Do you need anything? I Oreos for you. Like, let's have fun. I don't understand, like, the runner who puts his head down and doesn't wave high when they're running past. And
I know.
Especially
they're missing out. They're missing out on the good part.
Especially on the trails, right? Because I can only imagine. I mean, I've been to Tahoe a couple of times, but I can only imagine what it must be like to be training out there and those views on a consistent basis, to be able to just take it all in and realize the world that you are a part of. It must be amazing for you to be out there and to be able to see all of that.
Yeah, I'm just super grateful for it all. Like, where I live, out my back door, I mean, the trail options are endless, and I try not to take it for granted. Because you can, like, you're like, oh, I'll go run this trail today, and it's beautiful, then I'll go somewhere else. And I realize, like, most people don't have this access, and I'm so lucky for it. So I really just try to, like, always remember, like, to be grateful, because I'm really lucky.
So if it's not something you're going to take for granted, does that mean Tahoe 100 or Tahoe 200 are in the future for you?
Yeah, maybe. I know the TRT is he running the 100 miler this weekend?
The 100 miler. Yeah, this weekend.
Yeah, that's solid. No, I think that'd be cool. I definitely am interested in, like, the 100-mile distance. 200 miles, I mean, I'll go 100 and see. I don't know, man. That's a long way to go. You did Cocodona?
I did. So
that's wild.
I had the same thought process as you. Like, 100 miles is far enough. And then, a friend of mine and I kind of had a staring contest, I guess, if you would. Like, are you going to press? Are you going to press? And then I get a text with the screenshot of his registration. He's like, it's your turn. And I was
nice.
Register.
Yeah.
But it was an experience. It was a crazy good experience. And so now I'm looking at Oregon 200 for next year. And
cool.
seeing what that will be like. It's 50 miles less, right? So that's a plus.
Yeah, it's casual 200 miler. Like, how long does that take you? Or, like, how long does it take someone to go 200 miles?
The Cocodona took me 4.5 days.
Okay.
So basically was looking at 50 to 60 miles a day, and then taking like a 3-hour nap, waking up, going 50 to 60 miles, that kind of stuff.
Solid.
Yeah, it's an amazing experience. Even when you have a pacer, I think we got pacers after mile 70. So you have somebody 180 miles at that race, but there's not a lot of talking for the most part. You know, you just have the comfort of somebody being there. And so you embrace nature. And again, it goes back to the idea, like, we're just a small part of this world, and you see it from a different perspective. And so that's one of the things I loved about doing Cocodona, and why it's in my head to go and do another 200 miler next year.
Yeah, I get that. I could see how the 100-mile race is the gateway drug.
Yeah,
to 200 miles for sure.
But like, so and you know, what's funny is, like, I don't know how you feel about this, but when people are like, "Oh, you know, do you race 5Ks and 10Ks?" and I'm like, "No, because they hurt. They hurt too."
I used to be a sprinter. I did the 100-meter hurdles and the 300-meter hurdles, and I mean, I can't imagine doing that now. It's so painful.
I mean, right, at a 50 miler, at a 100 miler, you're going aid station to aid station. You have a whole buffet when you get there, right?
Yeah.
People are thrilled to see you, you know.
Right.
You know, everything. You know, like, I paced a friend of mine at Rocky Raccoon, and one of the games had like this whole tray of tater tots, and it was awesome, but you got to replace the whole Napoleon Dynamite, you know, concept of tots, and it was like, okay, we're having fun making
amazing. Ooh, tater tots. That's a good thing to put in the pack.
Yeah,
I like that. Never thought of that one.
So she had pants that had pockets on the side, so she just stuffed the tater tots into her pockets on the side, and, you know, 3 miles after the aid station, she's like, "You want some tots?"
Yeah, popcorn tots, nice. It's amazing.
It was hilarious, but it's part of the whole trail experience, and why I love it, because everybody's got something different that they enjoy when it comes to being out on the trails, and it's just a whole different experience for everybody. Yeah. We've kept you for 30 minutes now. We typically try to keep people to 45 minutes. So, Holly, thank you so much for joining us. But before we go, we have sort of created, this is a fireside chat, but we've got a sister show that we're really looking to launch called the Food Side Chat, where we get into things controversial about food. So nice. You ready for our quick rapid fire segment on food takes?
Yeah, send it my way. Let's do it.
Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Yay.
Oh, no.
Yay, I'm from California, bro. Come on now. Ranch as well.
No! Oh.
Yeah. No meat, though. But I'll do pineapple.
Either, but you guys are killing me. You're killing me and ranch. No. Fruit salad and regular salad. Pineapple and ranch. That's what they belong on, not on the I'm a New York City kid.
Yeah, I get it. I can respect New York. New York. All right.
Exactly. Oreos. Double stuff or the original OG?
Original.
Yeah. It's the best.
Too much of the filling. It's overkill.
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce your name, Nene, but
see, we got another one. Thank you.
Waffles.
Thank you. See?
We're gonna have to move this show off the West Coast and put it on the East Coast. So, candy corn. Is that a real candy, or is that earwax coated in sugar?
Earwax coated in sugar.
It's terrible.
Yeah. It's awful.
I have no idea.
Why?
How is Brock still in business selling this stuff? It makes no sense.
I don't know. They've created a dynasty, and it cannot be stopped. So.
Red velvet cake. Is it a real flavor, or is it just chocolate cake with red food dye? Yeah.
It's the red food dye for me. It tastes like dye.
Yeah, it's terrible chocolate cake that's dressed up really nicely.
Yeah, it's often dry. Not a fan.
So
no. I've
been in marketing for 30 years, and when people tell me marketing doesn't work, the first example I give them is red velvet cake. I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm like, people are selling red velvet cake constantly. It's nothing but chocolate. Marketing works.
Yeah, it does.
Licorice, red or black?
No, red. Black. Oh, God. It's horrific.
So
I heard a man died from eating too much black licorice.
Really?
Yeah. It happened a few years ago. I read it on Yahoo News, so I don't know if it's true or not. It might have been AI generated, but yeah, red all the way, red.
Red Vine or Twizzlers then?
Red Vine.
Red Vines. Oh, that's
Red Vine. Yeah.
Is Peeps a real candy or is it dust covered in glitter?
Ooh. I'll say it's a real candy. I don't enjoy it, but it's, it's fluff.
One of our friends of the show, Adina O'Neill, sent Ohm and I both a Peep through the mail. So when it got to us, it was stale. Because according to her and many others, stale Peeps are the best Peeps. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, why would you enjoy eating a doorstop? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, right. Eat the styrofoam puck. Oh, yeah. You know what? I think I saw him post something about stale Peeps.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah,
it's
I
terrible.
don't get that. That's no thanks.
Do you know Circus Peanuts?
Yeah.
So is that styrofoam spray painted orange or is that a real candy?
Definitely styrofoam spray painted orange. Yeah. For sure.
It's like Amazon was like, oh, we got nothing else to do with these things. Spray paint.
Yeah, brilliant. Marketing. That's the thing.
It works. It works every time. What was our other, gosh, I don't know. Oh, when it comes to potato chips, are you going regular potato chip or ridged?
Ooh. Well, I'll go with ridged because I today at the grocery store purchased ridged over regular. So there you have it. Ridged.
Because you need scoop? Because it gets more scoop on it?
I just like the texture, the girth, Just a little something to it. There's some thin potato chips that just snaps in two when the wind blows.
Thin mints. Oh, so I guess this is a question of favorite. Oh, you hate Thin Mints?
Oh, so this person knows me. This is my sister.
Oh, okay.
I do not like Thin Mints. I think they are like the worst cookie ever created.
Oh.
It's like dusty dirt coated in not even good chocolate. They're awful. And then people put them in the freezer?
Yeah.
Dear Lord.
Do. Yes.
No, yeah, not a yeah. I get crazy over Thin Mints.
Frozen Thin Mints and frozen Samoas, best cookies.
Samoas are great. That's a great cookie.
Yeah.
Thin Mint, no. I get like a violent reaction about them. I can't.
Definitely gonna have to have a food side chat separate podcast.
Yeah, I know. We can do this all day.
I love people's takes on food. I think it's awesome. So when you sit down to eat, is your food touching, or is it everybody in the bowl scooping with a shovel?
I like to present it like I make a lot of bowls, but I present it kind of separate, and then you may stir the item. If that doesn't sound insane, but there's like a presentation, and then you may do as you please. I don't mind if they touch. That's okay.
Are you a scooper or inhaler? Like put the whole spoon, swallow it all, or are you using a fork to jab at stuff?
I eat pretty slow, actually. I chew like very slow. When I was young, I had an issue with my esophagus, and I would get food stuck all the time. Like it was painful. So anyways, fast forward, I just chew my food very well because I don't want that feeling. So I eat very slow and painfully slow.
Yeah, I'm an inhaler. Like, the bowl's put down 3 minutes later, it's back in the sink. I'm done. Let's get else.
That's like my husband. He just like eats up like a dog eats kibble.
It's a great description. I got to change my bio. I eat food like a dog eats kibble.
Yeah, like a black lab that's been, tied to a leash all day. Yeah.
Last question for you. Grape nuts, real cereal or nah?
No, it's like eating kitty litter. That is kitty litter. Marketing. That's another.
I love grape nuts. Oh my God, yes. But I'm also a fan of shredded wheat, which is like, I get it. It's like eating hay. I got it. But I love it. I love shredded wheat.
Great.
I'm a 90-year-old man in a 50-year-old man's body.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah, Metamucil and what muesli mix or whatever. I don't know, whatever it is. Yeah.
Exactly. I want to be running until I'm 80. I might as well eat like I am now.
Got to play the long game. That's right.
Holly, thank you so much. I had a great time from the beginning with the technical difficulties to the end with that. It's been great. We want to wish you good luck at Speed Go 50K. We'll be rooting you on. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a lot of fun, Jason, and hopefully we can chat again soon.
You got it. Have a great night. Thank you.
You too. Bye.